How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to the Eternal Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, and today we're going to be going over January 9th edition of WWE Smackdown from Berlin, Germany. So the show starts out with Randy Orton making his way to the ring, and he's about to cut a promo, and then Trick Williams decides to interrupt him, saying a new star has arrived, and talking tough to Randy and saying it's not 2006 anymore, somewhat implying that Randy Orton's time is over and Trick's time is now. Randy goes on to question Trick's intellect pretty much. Like, do you know who I am? Why would you even be interrupting me? What are they even teaching down there in NXT? So Trick gets a little pissy and decides to smack the mic out of Orton's hand. And this does eventually lead to Orton attacking Trick. And after their little skirmish, The Miz goes on to try to get a sneak attack on Randy and fails terribly. Probably because he got an RKO last week. Trick is really showing his cockiness throughout this, turning his back on Randy. Randy's like, I'll give you that one for free, but it seems like you don't know who the Viper is, because he's RKO'd so many people over the years. He's notorious for when someone turns their back, he strikes and gets them. So after all this goes down, we have a match with the Luchador Rey Fenix taking on the big mouth Trick Williams from just a few seconds earlier. Rey's mix of speed and acrobatics really shined here, and it seemed like he could have easily beat Trick. He was just able to get the upper hand and just use his quickness and maneuvers to just keep being on top of Trick throughout this match. Rey did use a top rope maneuver that allowed him to get into a pinning situation, which then Trick reversed and was grabbing onto the back of the tights of Rey for the one. So with this, it's Trick's first match on the main roster. Very rarely do they let debuting stars lose their first match. It was given here that Trick is going to win. And since he has this cocky heel persona going on, of course he's going to use some underhanded tactics. We then have Damian Priest backstage in a little interview. He says that he's hurting from the ambulance match last week, but he wants in the world title picture. Since everybody else is calling their shot all around SmackDown, he wants a piece. Here comes Drew McIntyre, our number one contender for the WWE Championship at the moment. And they come face to face, and Damian mentions, if you do become world champion tonight, remember what happened last time when I smashed your brains in, which is pretty funny. And I like to see them mix it up again. Then we have another promo backstage. This is Alexa Bliss here. She's she's on the phone, and then here come Nia Jax and Lash Legend saying that, you know what, your tag team partner Charlotte must really not care because she's not here with you, and Charlotte only cares about herself. It leads into the women's U.S. title match, where Alexa Bliss is taking on the champ, Julia. So as the match goes on, Julia's manager, Kiana James, she jumps up on the ring apron, distracts the ref, and this is all happening as Alexa Bliss is climbing onto the top rope. Lash Legend comes out of nowhere, knocks Alexa Bliss off the top rope, allowing Julia to capitalize, hit her finishing maneuver, and she can retain the championship. Then Lash Legend and Nia Jax decide to beat down on Alexa, since she is a 5-foot woman, small in stature, and she doesn't have her tag team partner around. This is probably just going to set up a feud between Nia, Lash, and Charlotte and Alexa, which could be used as a way to get a number one contender for the women's tag team championship, which I'm okay with. Lash and Nia are just two big, powerful women within the women's tag team division, and they just have that physical prowess that is dominating. But with them being heels, of course, they're going to try to take out some competition, so they have an easier route going forward if they want to challenge for the titles or what have you. Next, we see that Jordynne Grace has officially joined SmackDown. She's backstage talking to Nick Aldis, the general manager, and here comes Chelsea Green, being the typical caring character that she is, saying that she needs a rematch for the U.S. Championship. Chelsea's like pretty much telling Jordynne that she's unimportant here and that Chelsea needs to get back to the title or top of the line day. That is what needs to be happening. Jordynne just pretty much said, I'm not going to deal with it. And this is a prime example of why Jordynne decided to join SmackDown, so she can make her mark, and anybody who's got a big mouth, she's planning on shutting it. Kit Wilson appears during this segment and says that he needs to talk to Nick Aldis and You can tell by the look on Nick's face that, hey, just give me a minute. And he just hurries up and gets into his office as quickly as possible. Then Kit Wilson's screaming, there's masculinity on the roster. It's rampant. And he's almost pounding on the general manager's door and even has the gall to call Nick all this toxic. We then have another backstage interview here. Seems to be a common theme to this episode. We have a lot of backstage heavy for some reason. We probably could have had another quick match or something happening, but we're just going to do a bunch of interviews and promos. Next up, we have Matt Cardona. He's in the back getting interviewed by Byron Saxton. And he says, essentially, that it took a while to get back here. I could have just used my WWE name and just rode the coattails of what success I had, but just decided to take matters into my own hands. And we then see Cody sitting not too far from him. He greets Cody. He wishes him luck. But he said, I came back for one thing. And he's pointing to the WWE Championship. They, give each other like a bro hug. And that ends that little segment. I'm glad that Matt Cardona is being established as wanting to go for the world title. He's got a great look. I've said it before, he has worked so hard to be back within WWE. I mean, he's wrestled on the indies, independent promotions, for those of you who are new to some of these terms. I mean, he made his own wrestling figure company. He's got his own podcast, the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. And I would love to see him as World Heavyweight or WWE Champion, if not this year, within the next couple of years. I think he is very deserving. He has a great work ethic, and he's very business-minded. So he's not going to jeopardize his position if he is to be made the guy. We next have an 8-man tag team match. The Wyatt Six against the MFT My Family Tree, Solo Sikoa's Samoans. So over the course of the match, we do get to see the two biggest members of the teams fighting it out. Just two big redwoods of men, Eric Rowan being one of them. And we do get to see Solo and Uncle Howdy mix it up. For the finish, I felt it was really poor how they executed this. As in, Solo grabs the Wyatt Six's lantern to distract Uncle Howdy, who's in the ring, which then allow Tamatanga to hit his finishing move, the cutthroat, on Uncle Howdy for the win. And Solo and the MFT kind of run off holding this lantern. So the lantern is something that Bray Wyatt came out with when he was alive during all of his entrances, but I'm curious to see, are they going to use this as like a supernatural type of thing, since the Wyatt Six are horror-themed faction, or what's the purpose here? It just felt really lazy. Another gripe I have is that the Wyatt Six are almost in the same position as Bray Wyatt's Fiend, in the way that they're horror-themed, they're really oppressing and ominous, and it starts to become that the character or characters can become so overpowered that it's hard to have an equal opponent for them. Therefore, it creates bad booking, or they're hard to book in rivalries, storylines, what have you. So this finish was very wonky. I thought it was really poor here. I like the Wyatt Six, so maybe I'm a little biased, but the ending of this match just needed more. Also, it seems that the WWE Tag Team Championships that are on two of the Wyatt's members are kind of in limbo a little bit. We don't have a clear number one contender. Is it the MFT who are going to get a title shot? What's kind of going on here? So that will play out going forward, I'm sure. But I also feel as if that by putting titles on the Wyatt Six as comparable to Bray with his Fiend character, it starts to become you're pigeonholing him or them into a situation where it starts to be maybe a little bit less about the character dynamics and more just about the championship overall. Because as you've heard within this episode, so many people are like, world title, world title, world title. I want the world title. That's great. That's great that different people want to be within the championship picture. But I also feel that that should not be an entire character's motivation. They need to have more dynamics in order to keep not only their character, but the episodes entertaining. I will come back to this as we go further on. We do have a backstage interaction between Carmelo Hayes, our current U.S. champ, and The Miz. Then Carmelo goes and he meets Ilya, who's on his way to the manager's, Nick Aldis's office. And he's like, Carmelo's like, hey, I'm having this open challenge. I'd love to face you again, and I'm going to keep this open challenge going. But Ilya's like, you know what, I appreciate you, but Not right now. I'm just after something different. Then he heads into the manager's office. This will also play a part later on through the episode. We will come back to this. So for our next match, we have Chelsea Green's Purvis, Secret Service type of lady going against Jordynne Grace. Since they had a backstage interaction earlier, Jordynne Grace, being the powerhouse that she is, and a former 3-time TNA Knockouts champion, she dominates Alba Fire throughout the main portion of this match. Chelsea Green does try to jump up on the apron to distract the ref. She gets knocked off the apron by Jordynne. Lots of big power moves from Jordynne Grace here, and pretty much hits her with like a modified power bomb to get the win. This match is a perfect example of why Jordynne Grace has been so successful within TNA. I did not watch her time in NXT. I cannot speak to that, but I would love to see her become a women's champion. I feel like she's got all the tools that she needs to succeed here in the WWE. And anyways, as Jordynne is walking back up the entrance ramp, our WWE Women's Champion, Jade Cargill, comes out. And she's telling Jordynne, "Who do you think you are? You're on my show. You think you're special? But you know what? I'm that bitch." And that just ends that little interaction there. These are two really strong women, physically. Jordynne Grace used to be a powerlifter, so she has that physique. And Jade Cargill, she is also a muscle-bound woman. So this would be a really fun match, I think, to see these two women mix it up. Speaking on Jade Cargill, I've watched her during her time in AEW, and she was booked very heavily during her time there as someone who was very dominant. She became the TBS Women's Champion, so like their mid-card title. She was undefeated for a long, long time. My thing with Jade is it seems like she has issues in the ring with botches. She's missing moves, and she just needs to work on her in-ring work. She can talk. She's got the attitude for her character. She just needs some more in-ring reps, I feel. Or just tighten up what you're doing. Because they've been giving her these short, like, squash matches to just kind of get her by onto her next rivalry, which seems to be with Grace, which I'm okay with. That'd be great. And maybe they are pairing her with Jordynne Grace in order to make her look better in the ring, whereas she's lacking somewhat. So a seasoned veteran like Grace could help her out. That just may be where that's going to happen. On to another backstage interview. We got Sami Zayn here, and he's asked, "Who do you think is going to win here?" He says, "I think there's a chance Drew could win. I'm going to put my money on Cody." This felt like it just didn't need to be on the show. It's not that I don't like Sami Zayn. There was just, over the course of this episode, there is just so many promos and interviews. And I know they want to give the main event a lot of time to breathe since it's a 3 Stages of Hell match, but we could have done without it. We could have cut away a couple of these backstage interviews, had another match, or maybe like a quick squash match for somebody or something. Just not needed here. Not needed. And the only reason that Sami's getting interviewed is because he said, "I want to be in the world title picture," probably. Which does feed into something we're going to talk about a little further ahead. After that little portion, we have Carmelo Hayes having a U.S. title open challenge. His opponent has not been announced, which is awesome. We like to keep a little mystery, I would think. Out comes Shinsuke Nakamura. He answers the challenge, and over the course of the match, Shinsuke is really on top of Carmelo here. Carmelo's coming off of a very hard battle from Ilya. And Shinsuke, he's really targeting the left leg during this time. He's really cranking on that left leg, going after it, attacking it at every opportunity he can. But yet, even though Carmelo's hobbling along, he's fighting, giving his heart out, he is able to retain the title here. I felt that with this U.S. Open Challenge, people who are not shown regularly or haven't been shown in a long time, such as Shinsuke, they're going to be able to shine. And who knows, maybe they'll get further opportunities going forward. That would be totally okay with me. I would love to see some fresh talent on my screen, other than people we see every week. Speaking on that, I understand that certain people are going to draw numbers. Some people may be in more high-profile type of feuds. But I'm glad they do have some new people on the roster for Raw and SmackDown. That's going to be great. It's going to help push things along. I am very, very happy about that. We then have the little weird backstage interaction where Nathan Frazier, he thinks he's talking to Axiom, who is a masked luchador. And it turns out it was actually Johnny Gargano under the mask as he attacks Nathan Frazier. The real Axiom does show up and runs away Gargano. So I feel that this feud is going to keep going on, but Axiom and Frazier have the numbers advantage here, as Tommaso Ciampa's nowhere to be seen. He's probably going to ride out the rest of his WWE contract at home or in catering or something. Hard to say. Then again, we have another backstage interview. This time it's with our WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. And he's telling Byron Saxton that he gets tired of his dad being brought up in his rivalries and that Drew stole his father's watch. But he says everybody learns the hard way as they wake up or they are looking up at the lights. Just saying that, he's going to win. He's going to put Drew McIntyre down and continue on his path, looking at the Royal Rumble and then WrestleMania. After this promo, we had a really good video package between Drew and Cody, and they even chose a Disturbed song for this video package. I'm glad that they, interjected some metal elements in there. I know Disturbed is more radio type of metal, new metal, but it was nice to see, because so many times for premium live events or like special events, it's always like some rapper or pop artist and their songs is way too poppy and upbeat for things, and it just doesn't always fit the vibe of some of the rivalries or what's going on with the show. But no, it's main event time. The 3 stages of hell match. First, we have a normal match. Then we have a falls count anywhere. And if needed, a steel cage match. This is for the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes against the Scottish Warrior, Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre. The bell rings. Cody Rhodes, he's very fired up. He's giving Drew McIntyre punches. He is just on top of Drew, hot as can be, all over him. Eventually, Drew is able, he rips off a turnbuckle, and the ref's like, I got to take care of that. With his back turned, he gets Cody low, a low blow, gets to the corner, runs, hits his Claymore kick, 1, 2, 3. He gets the first win. Very quick here. I was very surprised that they let this first match end so quickly. Then it goes on to the Falls Count Anywhere match, where, right after this happened, Drew puts Cody through a table, tries to get a 3 count. That does not happen. They end up fighting through the crowd, and Drew sets up a table. There's the funny thing within WWE is whoever sets up the table usually ends up going through the table. And guess what happened, everybody? Cody gets the upper hand, lays Drew on the table. He goes up through the crowd, climbs up on top of this ledge here, jumps off the ledge, putting Drew through the table. He doesn't get a 3 count here, surprisingly. After this very chaotic sequence, they end up fighting back towards the ring, and Cody Rhodes grabs Drew McIntyre and hits his finisher, the Crossroads. The announce table implodes, and Cody gets a 1, 2, 3. So 1-1 here. 1-1. Who's going to win this last one? Both men then are able to get back into the ring, and down comes the steel cage. Drew, he's trying to escape early. He's just trying to get this done and over with. He wants to be done with it, but Cody's not letting that happen. Cody almost is able to climb over the cage, but Drew catches him and hits him with a big suplex off the top of the cage. Over the course of this match, both men do hit their finishers on each other, but they just can't put the other person down. A unique sequence here was Cody was able to hit a Cody cutter off the top of the cage onto Drew, that's something I just haven't seen before. I've seen people doing jumps and stuff off the top of the cage and flips, but that was a unique little aspect here. Towards the end of the match, we do see Drew's trying to get out of the cage, and then here comes an individual all in black. He takes off his mask, and it's the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. So he chases Drew back into the cage, and he's just pummeling Drew. He's all on top of Drew, and Cody's like, what's going on here? You can see on his face. He goes and he tries to, get a hold of Jacob and be like, hey, man. And Jacob just, he just does not care. He's out for blood. He's tired of it. He got put out for a couple months, and he's attacking Cody. He's beating Cody down in the corner. This allows Drew to crawl out, both of his feet hit the floor. We have a new WWE champion. As excited as I am that we do have a new WWE champion, 2 things here. 1, Drew McIntyre, his character, has gone through so much turmoil and has been screwed over so many times here, like within previous years, and I am so glad he is the WWE champion. He deserves it. He has worked hard. He's put his time in here. I'm a fan of Drew, whether he's a face or a heel. I'm excited to see where this leads us going into Mania season. That being said, number 2 of this pointer here, I wish the match would have had like a more definitive winner. I wish it would have just been Drew, Cody. You know, if they wanted Drew to win here, he wins cleanly. But an interesting thing here, though, with Jacob Fatu being interjected into this, it's going to set up maybe Jacob versus Cody, or because we are on the road to WrestleMania, and who knows, maybe just Jacob and Cody are going to feud for a while. That'd be interesting. But speaking on the number 1 contender for the new champion, Drew McIntyre, for his championship, we are going to have a sequence of singles matches. We're going to have 4 singles matches. All 4 winners of those will then face each other for a fatal 4-way match at Saturday night's main event on January 24th in Montreal. The winner of the fatal 4-way from Saturday night's main event will fight Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. I like this presentation that we're going to get some unique matchups. We are going to get a clear, definitive number 1 contender for the Rumble, which is one of the big 4 pay-per-views. I believe the Rumble is one night still. I could be wrong. I know with their big 4 pay-per-views, they're starting to do like the 2-nighters. We had a 2-night SummerSlam. Here's the 4 singles matches that have been announced. We have Damian Priest against Solo Sikoa, Matt Cardona against Trick Williams, Sami Zayn against Ilya Dragunov, and Randy Orton against The Miz. Here's some of my predictions for those. Orton, he's going to take out The Miz. I do not doubt that. For Damian against Solo, I think Damian's coming out with a win here. Solo's much too involved in his feud with the Wyatt Six, or the Wyatt Six could cost him here with a distraction. Don't really want to see Solo within the world title picture. He just does not interest me. Now for like the more complicated of the last 2. Sami Zayn against Ilya Dragunov. Sami's been saying he wants to be a world champion and that he even wants to face Drew McIntyre. But Ilya, he's red hot. To me, he is very entertaining. He really showed up and showed out with his U.S. title run and had those open challenge matches, put on so many good matches. I think Ilya's taking the win here, for sure. Where Matt Cardona versus Trick Williams, I don't think they're going to let Trick win here. And maybe that's because I just really like Matt Cardona, but I don't know. That one's going to be a difficult match, as in to predict who's going to win. I really want Matt to win, but Trick could cheat and get the win there. So I'd really like to see the fatal 4-way be Randy, Ilya, Matt, and Damian at Saturday night's main event. Only time will tell. I do like, over the course of the episode, that we're getting more new story beats. Like I said previously, I am tired of all of these promos and backstage segments. We need more wrestling. It's called pro wrestling. Give us more wrestling, please. I will say that is my biggest gripe with this episode of SmackDown. I just wanted a couple more matches. I understand they needed to build up to Cody versus Drew and get some more interest, and like, you know, I want to be world champion, or I'm interested in the world title picture. Okay, I get it. Not everybody needs a promo for that, but I'm glad they put the button on it where Drew gets his world championship. Finally, I am very, very happy about that. I hate that it got spoiled for me. Since they were in Germany, a lot of people use VPNs to not have to pay for things and get all their WWE content for free. I just hate that it was spoiled for me because I was very much excited to watch this. But that's just the internet. And if you're not careful, you're going to get spoiled. Maybe that's just on me. But we have a new WWE champion. We have a lot of hungry wolves in the pack going to be coming after Drew. And maybe Jacob, Fatu, and Cody will have a rivalry going into the Royal Rumble. Since our number 1 contender our number 1 contender picture is becoming very apparent. So I'm excited for what's going to happen. And I'm excited for the Rumble. I hope we get some fresh, new people interjected into those world title pictures going into Mania. I will say, this is a very early prediction. They took out LA Knight, and there's been a lot of talk that they're very happy with LA Knight with what he's been doing. Picture this. picture this. What if LA Knight comes back as like a surprise entrance for the Men's Royal Rumble, wins the Royal Rumble, and goes on to win one of the world championships? I'd be popping so hard. I love LA Knight. He definitely reminds me of like The Rock and Stone Cold during the 80s. Yeah, let me talk to you. And I would just love to see it. I liked him as U.S. champ. I think he could have a good run with one of the world championships on the men's side. That is an early prediction, like I said, so we will see. Time will tell. So thank you guys for joining me on this episode, and I hope you all have a lovely day or night, depending on when you listen to this, and I will catch you in the next one.